Aryna Sabalenka prepared to face WTA Rankings points fines in order to protect my body. Aryna Sabalenka has lamented the insane tennis season and tricky rules when it comes to mandatory events, saying the tennis chiefs are not interested in protecting players as they just follow their own interests. The world number one is not the first player to complain about the overcrowded tennis calendar, and she won't be the last, as the likes of Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, Iga Swiatek and Coco Gauff have all voiced their concerns in recent years. And while some might wonder, why don't they just skip more events? WTA rules state that players need to feature in a certain number of mandatory events or risk the possibility of being fined ranking points. Sabalenka and Swiatek were on the receiving end of zero-pointers late in the 2025 WTA Tour season for not playing the minimum amount of WTA 500 events during the year. Ultimately, the points penalties didn't have a big impact at the top of the WTA rankings, as Sabalenka had a big enough lead over Swiatek to remain at number one. The new season is now underway, but the same challenges remain, and the four-time Grand Slam winner was asked if she would consider stepping away from some tournaments in 2026 to get some much-needed rest. Want more from Tennis 365? Add us as a preferred source on Google to your favorites list for tennis coverage you can trust. Sabalenka, though, admitted it is more complicated. The season is definitely insane, and that's not good for all of us, as you see so many players getting injured, and also the balls are quite heavy, so it's a lot of struggle for all of us, she said. But what Serena did, the rules were different. Right now, like last season, by the end of the season, because I didn't play enough of 500 events, they fine us with points, me and Iga. So then it's like, okay, if you play 7 events, even if you win, okay, if you win all of them, then maybe it's not a big deal. But you cannot predict that I'm going to play 7 events, I'm going to win them all, and that's it. The rules are quite tricky with mandatory events, but I'm still doing that, like I'm skipping couple events in order to protect my body, because I struggled a lot last season. Even though the results were really consistent, but some of the tournaments I had been playing completely sick, or I've been really exhausted from overplaying. WTA exclusives. Mira Andreeva will shine at the Grand Slams, but she must not let one trait become destructive. Players need to feature in at least 20 WTA events every year, while those who qualify for the WTA finals play 21 per season. Besides the 4 Grand Slams and 10 WTA 1000 tournaments, they also need to sign up for at least 6 WTA 500 events. Sabalenka added, "This season we will try to manage it a little bit better, even though they are going to fine me by the end of the season. But it's tricky to do that. You cannot skip like 1000 events. It's really tricky, and I think that's insane what they do. I think they just follow their interests, but they're not focusing on protecting all of us." Aryna Sabalenka, choosing the body over the points. In the relentless rhythm of professional tennis, where calendars blur and courts change continents faster than seasons, Aryna Sabalenka stands at a crossroads familiar to champions but rarely spoken about without consequence. Ranking points, those invisible numbers that dictate legacy, seeding, and history, have long ruled the sport like an unyielding currency. Yet Sabalenka, powerful in both forehand and spirit, has made it clear, sometimes the body must come before the numbers. Her declaration, "Prepared to face WTA ranking points fines, in order to protect my body," is not an act of defiance. It is an act of maturity. The weight of being number one. To be among the world's best is to carry more than a racket. It is to shoulder expectations from fans, sponsors, federations, and the sport itself. For Sabalenka, whose explosive power and fierce intensity have become trademarks, the physical cost of excellence has never been hidden. Every serve is a full-body commitment. Every rally is a collision of force and will. The modern WTA Tour does not pause. Mandatory events demand attendance. Ranking systems reward presence as much as performance. To skip is to risk slipping, not only down the rankings ladder but out of narratives carefully built over years. Sabalenka knows this. She accepts it. And still, she chooses her body. A body that remembers everything. Athletes' bodies are archives. They remember the 3-set battles under scorching heat, the late-night finishes, the flights taken without rest, The injuries played through because the draw demanded it. Sabalenka's power-driven style asks more from her muscles, joints, and nervous system than finesse ever could. Protecting the body, in this context, is not weakness, it is preservation. It is acknowledging that a career is not measured by how many tournaments one enters, but by how long one can remain truly competitive. A fine, a points penalty, or a temporary rankings dip pales in comparison to the risk of chronic injury or burnout. Redefining professional courage. For decades, courage in tennis was defined by endurance, play through pain, tape the injury, push one more match. Sabalenka's stance challenges that outdated heroism. Her courage lies in restraint. By openly accepting potential penalties, she exposes the system's rigidity while refusing to be broken by it. She reminds the sport that players are not machines calibrated for scheduling efficiency, but human beings with limits. This decision is not selfish. It is responsible. It sends a message to younger players watching closely: longevity matters. Health matters. Self-awareness matters. The mental game beyond the baseline. Sabalenka's greatest evolution may not be technical, but psychological. Earlier in her career, emotions often spilled onto the court, raw, unfiltered, sometimes overwhelming. Today, her clarity off the court reflects growth that no statistic can capture. Choosing rest over ranking points requires confidence in oneself beyond external validation. It requires believing that form will return, that opportunities will come again, and that worth is not tied to constant visibility. This is the mindset of a champion who understands that peaks are temporary, but careers are fragile. A quiet challenge to the system. While Sabalenka does not wage a public battle against the WTA structure, her choice quietly questions it. Should mandatory participation override medical reality? Should rankings punish self-care? Her situation forces uncomfortable conversations the sport must eventually face. If the tour truly values its stars, it must value their health. Sabalenka's willingness to absorb penalties highlights a gap between policy and human sustainability. Change rarely begins with protest. Sometimes it begins with one player saying, "Not this time." Legacy beyond numbers. When Sabalenka's career is one day assessed, her Grand Slam titles and weeks at the top will matter. But so will moments like this, when she chose longevity over optics, wisdom over obligation.